And we'll start with a team that has one of the biggest departures in free agency and Bruce Brown leaving Denver Nuggets. We'll start with you, Gabe. How do you feel about where they're at so far with doing well to bring in a bunch of guys during the draft, but have lost Jeff Green, have lost Thomas Bryant, and have lost Bruce Brown?
Yeah, man, they're definitely going to rely a lot on some of those drafted guys panning out to really fill in for these bench spots because Bruce Brown leaving is one thing. Jeff Green leaving, that's like they played 8 guys in that rotation. That's all of a sudden a corner, like a whole quarter of your rotation that's just out the door. Not to mention Thomas Bryant played a lot of quality minutes in the regular season to give, Jokic a little bit of rest during the long 82 games. Didn't play a lot in the playoffs, but, it takes a lot of wear and tear to even get that far in the first place. So, as far as rounding out their bench depth, they've definitely set themselves at a little bit more of a disadvantage. It might be an uphill battle to repeat. We do know how long just going on a full, long playoff run like that can really take the energy out of a team and make the following season even harder due to that shortened off season. So they kind of come into next year looking a little thin, but if they can draft anything like they drafted last year, getting a guy like Christian Brown that came in and just instantly contributed year one and contributed to a championship effort, if they can do that again, they might be set up for more success. Either way, though, this team is going to return to the top of the West next year. And it's not like it's bad vibes in Denver at all. You're coming off a title. Just don't get that title high. Keep just playing hard. And I think Jokic and Murray are 2 guys that will lead the kind of team that's going to do that, as well as Coach Michael Malone doing good things over there. They're going to be in strong contention to run it back, I think. And we just have to see where it goes for them.
Yeah, it was kind of like the writing was on the wall before the season was even over, before they even won the championship, because the talks was it's going to be tough to keep like this core group of guys together. And obviously with Bruce Brown getting the contract that he got, you can't really match that money. So shout out to Bruce for getting his bag. But pretty much what Gabe said, man, they're going to be looking to the guys that they drafted and also guys that have been in their organization like Christian Brown to continue to get better. And I like what they took with Julian Strawther out of Gonzaga, and I also think Jalen Pickett out of Penn State can maybe provide something for them too. Reggie Jackson's probably going to be relied on a little more. I don't know how I feel about that, but he is a veteran. Maybe he can just give them solid minutes once the playoff comes around, because the way Jamal Murray elevates in the postseason, you don't need that much guard production from a backup point guard. So hopefully Reggie can just be solid for them. But like Gabe said, they still got their core guys. Michael Malone's still one of the best coaches in basketball. They're going to be right there again next year, and we'll just see how guys develop, because they're going to be relying on a lot of the young guys to continue to show strides and prove themselves.
Yeah, deciding to use your mid-level exception on the first night of free agency on Reggie Jackson was certainly a decision by the Nuggets front office, to say the least, but the rest of what they got going on is at least exciting and has some upside when you talk about the rookies, when you talk about Christian Braun probably now stepping into that Bruce Brown type role heading into next year. So we're going to get to see even more opportunity from him, get to see more freedom from him on the offensive end. So there's a lot to look forward to there. We'll see how much that depth actually pans out and who ends up being the key guys moving into next year, who's behind Braun off the bench. As far as their playoff rotation goes, maybe Payton Watson becomes more of a key member of the rotation heading into next year and into the postseason. But like you guys said, they're going to be great in the regular season. That's not in doubt. We'll just have to see what guy number 7, guy number 8, guy number 9 give for them and who those guys end up being as they get into the postseason.
Definitely.
Yeah, they have a season to figure it out.
Yeah, Jeff Green is a kind of a tough loss too, even though like his production doesn't speak for it. But I just like having – they had a lot of like true vets on this team. We kind of talked about this before, but they had like guys that have a lot of NBA experience outside of like their top guys. So that's something that is very tough to replace. So that's why like you see DeAndre Jordan gets re-signed, because you got to keep some type of veteran leadership on that team. So we see why DJ is able to keep a job, but it's tough to bring guys like Jeff Green, who was pretty sought after in free agency, because he can still play some good basketball.
Yeah, and even thinking about it now, like, as long as they can get by on maybe a more thin roster for the first half of the season, they could easily be a team that just throws out a second-round pick at the trade deadline and brings in a quality role player. You see that all the time. It's not like it takes a lot of assets to build something like that. Like, I'm convinced they can get a Jeff Green-level guy for a second-round pick. That's just the way trades work nowadays, especially for guys like that, while valuable members of a team, when it comes to a trade talk, it's like there's not really a lot that trades hands there.
Yeah, for sure. They'll definitely still have a way to potentially add a vet before all is said and done and they get to the postseason next year. But ultimately, we'll just see who ends up emerging on the roster and becomes those guys behind Christian Braun coming in the next year.